Hello, good morning. Welcome to Sauna Talks. My name is Mike, and I'm your very sweaty host for the day. It's about 195 degrees in here, and I've been in here about 45 minutes now. So I want to spit this out of my brain like a fastball coming out of a decent pitcher's hand. Yeah. So today we are going to talk about depression. The two types of depression, the limitations of the DSM-5, and a strategy to deal with run-of-the-mill normal depression that everybody goes through. You're not alone. You're not. Everybody goes through it. So let's deal with it. The first kind of depression is long-term, and that's the one that 11.5 million people have in America alone. God knows how many worldwide. And they spend about $500 billion on treating their depression with various psychotropics and, of course, your serotonin reuptake inhibitors that are way overprescribed and trick the brain into keeping serotonin and happy chemicals longer than they need to be there. When people are diagnosed with this kind of depression, it's from a cookbook, essentially, of psychological disorders. It's called the DSM-5, and it is, like I said, a cookbook for psychological disorders. It's listed the same way as you would list a recipe book, and that's kind of alarming to me because I'm not making a pot roast, right? I am trying, as a therapist, if I was a therapist, to come down with what is going on in my client's head and flipping through a cookbook and making sure that the brain recipe is the equivalent to the recipe you're making at home, and you're looking in your refrigerator and making sure you have the ingredients is frankly kind of absurd to me. A lot more time needs to be spent. But first, I think that we can agree, even as laymen's, that the DSM-5 is the psychological diagnostic equivalent of a microwave cookbook. All the stuff is there, but the results are complete garbage. And here's the reason why. Because the therapists and counselors that are running through the DSM-5 generally have a 4-year degree, which, lots of smart people have 4-year degrees. Lots of people don't have degrees at all that are incredibly smart. So when it comes down to it, though, they're flying the cookbook recipe of the DSM-5 up the flagpole to doctors, clinicians, and psychiatrists, and they are prescribing that $500 billion of drug to treat what could be just regular run-of-the-mill depression that everybody goes through. And that's what I'm here to talk about. But first, I want to make this note because, I worked in risk assessment for years, and I want to make a note. If you're doing something stupid, if you're thinking about killing yourself or hurting anybody else, go see a doctor. Go to the fire department. Call up 911 and have a nice lengthy talk. There's also the 9 line that has helped a lot of people. 999, 999, just keep hitting nines. And somebody will eventually get on the phone and be like, yo, what's your problem? I'm here to help. So the other kind of depression is one that we all go through. So you lost your job. You went through a divorce. Your house burned down. You lapsed in insurance. Terrible shit happens to people. Agreed. I've gone through it. Hand to God, I've gone through some hard times and I have been depressed. But here's the thing, is what I started to do after experiencing depression after family court and divorce, and guys, you know what I'm talking about. I started to look at it differently, and it has helped me enormously, without the need for the crutch of psychotropics and doctor's visits and all that. I still occasionally go to a therapist about once every 4 months and just check in and be like, hey, here's where I'm at. And they generally check me out pretty quick because I like people to be objective, and I'm locked in up here. So I need outside evaluation sometimes. So the way I'm looking at depression And what's bailed me out so many times is I look at depression as an indulgence. Should you have an indulgence? Sure, sometimes. Indulge yourself. Have that beer at a wedding. Eat a Swiss cake roll that your kid brought home from school. Do it. There's nothing wrong with some indulgence. It's a pleasurable experience. That's why it's an indulgence in the non-medieval sense. No, ain't gross. So the way I look at depression when I go through it, which is occasionally, maybe once or twice a year, I hit the brick wall of depression. And I realized that I needed to see it as an indulgence. So what I did is I started to imagine my depression as a giant chocolate cake. I don't like chocolate cake. A lot of people do. It can be anything. So whatever, add your indulgence that you like for a second, and then it makes you feel sick. So for me, chocolate cake. I like it for half a slice. And then I'm like, holy crap, what did I just put in my mouth? Gross. So with depression, your job, you've got two options. That cake is put down in front of you. You're going to eat it before you get over it. So there's two ways of looking at it. You can ration that thing out and eat little bites of it for months or years until you're finally done and spent thousands of dollars on drugs and lost time at work and ruined relationships with laying in bed and being mopey and whatnot. You can go that route, and it is a well-trodden route culturally. Like I said, we spend $500 billion treating depression that I seriously think you just need to reassociate your thoughts, because if you're thinking you can't get out of it, that's a thinking error. Bad news. So when that cake is set in front of me, I lean into that shit. I go ahead and start eating it with two hands. I'm going to get through that depression as quickly as I can, okay? And if I need to lay around in bed and watch a couple of movies and not go to the gym and call in sick to work, I don't care what I need to do, but I'm gonna get it done. Because what is the point? What is the point of going through something for a year or more that you could do in a couple of weeks, or maybe in the long term, a month rather than 2 years of your life? Okay. That being said, the reason I try to get through depression so quickly is because it takes 3 weeks to start a habit. So you want to exercise, it takes 21 days to kind of get going there. You want to quit drinking, 21 days, and then you're over the curve, you're over the hump. So if you practice depression for 3 weeks, what are you training your brain to do? To be depressed. Stop it. Lean into it. Get through the indulgence that, for God knows what reason, came into your life. Your job is to eat it. Eat it. Eat it as quickly as you can. Get through it. Lean into it. Accept it. The Stoics talked about this. Acceptance. Buddhism talks about that. Acceptance. Christians talk about it when they say turn the other cheek. Acceptance. There's a reason why acceptance has been a motive throughout humanity's history, and why it has improved so many people's lives. And that is, if you're fighting something that you can't change, you will start out being angry at it, and you'll end up being angry at yourself, right? So inward directed anger is depression. That's what that is. You're mad at yourself. Could have done something different. All that shit that goes through your mind for so long needs to be cut out like a cancer as quickly as you can. Do not let it form as a habit. So when it comes down to it, depression is an indulgence. And the historical proof is that people, when they were forced to work in coal mines, were sad about it. It sucked, okay? But they couldn't indulge in a year-long period of laying in bed and being a parasite to the people that are starting to lose hope that you're changing. So strictly an indulgence, or you'd see it more in survival situations and everything else. And I know those things exist, but there's a reason why they don't write books about people that survived harrowing experiences. Nobody in the Holocaust wrote a book because they stopped eating food and died. You know, the prisoners that were unjustly in prison. Nobody really writes a book if they're so depressed that they can't write a book. Get over it. People do. Okay? So there's historical evidence that in situations of stress where you can't indulge in depression, it doesn't exist. So do that. Replace it with something. Go to the gym. If nothing else, if you can't do anything else, watch some movies, write in a journal, take a walk. Get over it. Okay, I'm trying to give you some hope here. So you can get through depression. Take your time. Call a doctor if it's clinical and you feel as if you're going to do something stupid. Call a cop. Do what you need to do. But let's take care of each other. We are what we have in the world. Mike from Sauna Talks out. Been in here an hour and my brain is melting. All right, take care, brothers and sisters. Peace.